Welcome to the first edition of the FPL Sheeple Podcast, a podcast from the viewpoint of followers and consumers of all the great FPL content out there. The FPL Sheeple Podcast is available on YouTube or on all popular podcast platforms. Please follow us at FPL Sheeple on Twitter for latest updates.
So, you guys might be wondering what FPL Sheeple podcast is all about. Why do we need another podcast about FPL? So, the idea behind this is we have so much fantasy Premier League content out there that it gets confusing which pundit to follow, who gives the right recommendation, and stuff like that. So, we decided to create a podcast from the viewpoint of followers. What what do I mean by that? This podcast essentially follows the pundits that are out there who work hard, who create, who analyze the data and give recommendations every week, every game week about which players to pick for that game week, which players to drop, and stuff like that. So we decided to create a podcast that in which we are going to follow um, these these content creators. We are going to accept their recommendations, make changes to our teams, and then we are at the mercy of fantasy Premier League. So, what do we mean by sheeple? Sheeple means sheep people. We are basically people who are blindly following these content creators to make more content. That's basically what sheeple means, and we thought that why not make a podcast where we just have fun following these content creators and see which content creator helps us out the best and which content creators suggestions don't help us out the best, and just two friends discussing what what how or how or what the content creators helped us out. So what do you think, Carling?
Yeah, I agree with you. We've been following around 15 or 20 content creators on Twitter all year this season. And I think this year, especially with what's going on around the world, I think content creators have been really putting a lot of effort in. And there has been, I think, so much content. And it, from the viewpoint of people who are just playing FPL, um, not professionally but as sort of something like a serious yet a hobby sort of a deal, it becomes so overwhelming to follow all these great content creators. And believe me, they are great for a reason, because most of them have hit the heights of being in the top 100 or the top 1000 ranks in the world multiple times, that too. So it really is
We
an
also
honor.
have some of content creators who are like top 10,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, they have hit top 10 finishes in the past. So, it's a real privilege that we are getting all of this content for free. But it just sort of gets overwhelming because there's so much information that's bombarded to us, simple sheep people, as we are called, that it gets daunting. And so that's
Yeah,
why.
and we just want to make sure, we want to make it clear that we in no way are judging these content creators. It's just for fun. We're just going to listen to their podcasts, follow their Twitter handles, and just follow their recommendations every week, and we'll make those we'll review their suggestions, and we'll make changes, and then we'll see how it goes. So yeah,
Yeah.
in no way we're going to slander any content creators out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We are in no position, or we have no pedigree, as you'll see in this podcast, of even making any such claims as being better than content creators in any way. Um, I guess another question that listeners might have is why so late in the season, and why are you starting this podcast at this time? Well, the simple answer is that we found the time, or we found this to be a more opportune time than any other to start this podcast, because it has been 29 game weeks this season already, and we have been following content creators right from the first game week, and we feel that the season has gone in all sorts of directions, and with every week both of us seem to have come across new content creators, a new sort of play style, a new sort of idea of suggestions and player picks, etc. So we thought that this international break, we sort of gathered our or collected our thoughts together and thought about, making some sort of an aggregate podcast where we get together and compare the content that different content creators have put out there, and compare notes across all of them to see if we can come up with some interesting insights. And as you will see down the pod, we will have a review of all the teams from these content creators, and then we will also pick a content creator of the week, which who about whom we'll dive deeper into, and look at their choices for this week, etc. And I mean, also this game week, we've noticed that on Twitter there has been a lot of talk, especially from the content creators, about play styles and identities, and how the game should be played, because it seems that all of these content creators, as far as I can tell, were some sort of risk takers back in the day, and I mean like 6-7 seasons ago. But it seems to be like, because they've all now become famous, or rather have a large following, it becomes, I guess, natural for them to be more pragmatic and more sort of conservative with their approach, if you know what I mean. Because nowadays, I guess that big stamp of being top 10K or top 100K is good enough, I feel. So there has been
Yeah.
this talk between the content creators of how you should play the game, and whether one style is over the others, and just following all of this conversation has been really interesting, but it also has been overwhelming, because I mean, imagine what it must be doing for us simple people, right? Because I mean, if tomorrow the content creators are questioning their own play style, and we are the people who follow these content creators, it becomes a little more difficult to set our own goals or make our own teams. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
also to add to your point, the play styles of for these content creators may or may not work for you. Some are like, as you said, some are like really conservative, some are like really maverick. They like to play differential, but it may or may not work for you. So ultimately, you just have to get all this information from them, and then decide on your own what to do.
yeah. And so we hope this podcast becomes that because we will present the information from multiple content creators together in this one aggregate manner. We hope that it helps people like us who are following all these content creators to watch or to listen to our podcast, and get some sense of what the commonalities are between all of these content creators, and what sets each of them apart. And because we'll focus on one content creator each week, I hope that gives people out there a flavor of all the different play styles or suggestions that these content creators have, such that maybe down the line you are able to pick and choose just a handful of content creators that you would like to follow, and you know um,
Yeah.
blindly become sheep to their mastery.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And in no way we are pundits. We are sheeple.
yeah,
So we are
yeah.
going to follow blindly.
Yeah. So with that, let's move on to the main content of our podcast.
Introductions.
Yeah. So we'll start with a short introduction about who we are. So my name is Carling FIFA, and you can follow me on Twitter at Carling FIFA. This, funnily, is my 12th year of playing FPL, and uh, I mean, even though this is the 12th year of me playing FPL, it's probably just the second year when I've taken it sort of very very seriously, in the sense that I'm following content creators. I i spend a lot of time thinking about player picks and player choices, and aggregating information from all these content creators and then making an informed choice. So so I would say this is just my second year of serious FPL, because if I were to reveal to you my previous ranks, you would realize that for sure this is my second serious year. But there's something interesting that every year that I play FPL, I have at least one or two extra, as I call them, fake teams. Which I make just for fun. So, for example, the team that plays under my Carling FIFA moniker is typically always the team that follows the FPL scout, or a few content creators, or takes the information from different content creators and just makes a blind change or a blind player pick based on these suggestions. Whereas my main team, I go a little bit into data myself, or I have my own sort of way of picking players, or I go by eye tests and instincts there. So I may not always follow what content creators have said. I always obviously take their opinions on board, but I will still give it some more thought before I make the final decision of which player I pick. Um, but I guess this podcast, is really good for my Carling FIFA team, because that's the team that blindly follows all of these content creators. And even though it has followed so many content creators, and the team has been through ups and downs, I am proud to say that it's at a current overall rank of 638k, which I feel is a reasonable rank. And I feel if the team pushes well, and does well, and if the content creators are wise enough to advise really good player picks, maybe the current overall rank goes up by the end of the season. But I do not expect much, because my picks are going to be fairly random. Maybe my overall rank fluctuates quite a bit compared to my other teams. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. You want to introduce yourself, Donatello?
Absolutely. So I am FPL Donatello. You can follow me on Twitter at Donatello FPL. Uh, just like Carling FIFA, um, this is also my 12th year of playing Fantasy Premier League. Um, and just like Carling FIFA said, I also have my main team, which I make changes based on my own logic and my own methodology, and I also follow some content creators and do something with data. But that's separate. And this team I created as a fake team just for fun, has been following the FPL Scout mainly, um, for game week suggestions. So it's been doing really well. My current overall rank is 167k, which is not bad because
That's
my main team
amazing.
is somewhere near Carling FIFA's rank. So basically, all this year I've been listening to the scout, and I have reached the overall rank of 167k. And now I want to listen to these content creators who who are like the best of the best, and hopefully my rank increases. Like I go, I don't know, top 100k or more than that. So that's basically me. And why are we doing this? Do you ask? Um, Basically, we want that week long trip to the United
I
Kingdom. It's
swear,
like
man.
a lifelong dream of ours,
Yeah,
where we go to a match of our choice,
yeah.
and get to see the Premier League live whenever people go back to the stadiums, of course. And we've had this dream since like we started playing Fantasy Premier League. Do you
Yeah.
remember like
Yeah.
the very first year when we discovered what the prices were for the winners?
I mean,
and
I guess,
and
yeah, I guess the first decision that we made of watching a Man United versus Arsenal match, that I think still holds. because I'm a
That's
Man
because
United fan.
Carling,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm a Man United
yeah,
fan, and Donatello is an Arsenal fan. So, I mean, we've not picked the venue yet. I guess, yeah. I mean, we'll watch it wherever we can. But I mean, that's a dream that still remains to be realized.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be just surreal if it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
that's basically it. I mean, 12 years of playing fantasy Premier League, and we haven't ever even gotten like the manager of the week uh, award yet. So I
yeah,
mean, we just want these content creators to help us
yeah.
get these rewards for
Yeah,
ourselves.
please, leaders of the field, help us sheep achieve these goals. I understand that the content creators may themselves have the same goals as we do, and but
Yeah, but if you help us out, we might take you along. So
yeah, to
not guaranteed.
yeah, they might have to pay it out of their own pocket or something like that. No, we're not guaranteeing anything. But
Totally,
anyway, yeah, but this
totally.
is just, as you can tell, it's just again, as FPL should be, right? It should be just about having fun, and that's all we are here to do.
Yeah, we just want to have fun, and a fun format is what we think this is going to be. So
Yeah,
let's get on with it.
yeah. So typically every week we'll have a similar agenda. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll review the previous game week. In this case, it's game week 29. Um, I mean, as far as we remember, this is one of the uh, smallest game weeks we ever had. I mean, just 4 matches.
Dullest game week as well.
Yeah, probably the dullest game week we ever had, because, I mean, just 4 matches. I had no hopes. I was like, 4 matches that should just give you like 30 or 40 points.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
had no expectations, and so it was all about a question of whether a sheeple can even have a good blank game week, and if even if we do, how much are we going to gain? It's going to hardly be like 10 points over everyone else or something like that. So there were no really
yeah,
hopes with this game week, and so we'll take a look at how both our teams did in this review. um, After that, we'll go into the content creators teams. So for this season, we've chosen 20 content creators, because these are the content creators that we've followed more or less throughout this season. Obviously, we hope that, if all goes well and we continue doing this in the next season, we hope to have more content creators, such that we have enough to have, let's say, one creator of the week every week. So in the content creator team review, we'll take a look at all the teams from all these 20 content creators, who they had in their starting lineups, which players scored well, which players did not, why some content creators did better than others, and all of these things. And then from all of these 20 content creators, what we'll pick the creator who scored the highest points for the last game week as the creator of this week, and that's the leader
right.
that we will follow. We will go into
Yeah,
deep into how they play, what they've picked, and we'll just make picks in our own teams based on this content creator of the week.
yeah, and basically, our logic is, who whichever content creator gets the most points for that game week, for FPL, we're gonna pick him for the next week as the creator of the week, as Carling said. And we are not going to repeat any content creator again,
Hmm. Hmm.
because we have 20 creators and there are only 9 game weeks left. um, we are only going to go for 9 unique content creators. So if a content creator scores, say, 90 points in a game week, and he wins that game week out of the 20, and in the second game week he again wins it, we are not going to count him as the winner. We're going to go for the second
Hmm.
content creator who's ranked second for that game week. because we want to go for everyone and not
Yeah,
repeat the content creators.
yeah,
So that's pretty much the gist of how we choose the creator of the week.
yeah. And then based on the worthy leaders' picks, we will make changes to our team, and we'll have a short preview towards the end of the podcast about the picks that we did in our team, because every content creator gives multiple options and normally, so we will accordingly make changes. Yeah, both of us will do make separate changes on our own teams and present it, and see how it goes for us.
Yeah, and none of us will know what the changes were made until the day we record the podcast, which is
Yeah,
generally a day or two before the deadline. So
yeah,
um, I didn't know what Carling made for changes, and Carling didn't know what
yeah,
I changed in my team. So
yeah,
we got to know just while we were recording.
yeah. All right then. So let's get into the first topic on the agenda, which is Game Week 29 review. And for Game Week 29, we also had a Creator of the Week, and it
Yeah,
was none other than FPL General. So,
yeah.
Donatello, would you like to tell people about FPL General?
Oh, absolutely. FPL General is my personal favorite. I guess he's Carling's favorite as well, because
Mm-hmm.
his style is mostly suited to both of us. He plays really safe. He's a little conservative in his play style. He won't go for some shock moves like making Cancelo captain out of nowhere. He will always play it safe because that's how he's been playing so far, and there's a reason behind it. So a little bit about FPL General. FPL General, or Mark McGettigan. He's been playing Fantasy Premier League for like 12 years, just like us, but clearly he's better than us. And that's the reason why he's there on our spreadsheet. Um, he has finished in the top 500 like three times out of the last five seasons. In 2014-15, he finished ranked 352. 2015-16, which was I think his best ever, he finished with a rank of overall rank of 102. And in 2017-18 season, he finished with the rank of 362. That is insane if you
Yeah.
ask me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the host of the most popular podcast, in my opinion, is the 59th Minute FPL Podcast, which he does for the Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
I started following FPL General a couple of years ago. I followed him on Twitter, and I mean, I was a fan immediately. I don't know about you, but I mean, I started listening to his podcast, and that's exactly when I think I started taking it a little bit with a little bit of seriousness. I think that's the same for you, right,
Yeah, yeah,
Carling?
absolutely. I mean, he holds a special place in my heart, because I think we sort of became subscribers of the Athletic almost at the same time, and FPL General's
Athletic
podcast
Club.
was yeah, and FPL General's podcast was just new, and it was one of the podcasts available. So yeah, I mean, even in the first listen, it just changed the way I think about FPL. I remember in the past years, I had no clue of the type of changes I was making, or there was no sort of direction. But Mark's podcasts are really on point. They're really well structured, and his playstyle, yeah,
Yeah,
is just.
yeah, and
I mean, I'm
yeah. Sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
as pragmatic and as safe as there can be, in terms of even like in a personal
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
So I
that's
mean, so he just
that's
appeals
true.
in a large way. Um,
That's true, and he not just like there's a reasoning behind all his picks. He analyzes like data points. Like for example, he looks at shots inside the box, shots from outside the box. For goalkeepers, he analyzes how many saves the keeper has made over the last few matches. So it's basically data based. like his picks are backed by data, but also some of his picks are like have been so good that, I mean, in the recent game weeks, it just works out for us. So we
Mm-hmm.
thought of starting our podcast with one of our favorite
Mm-hmm.
uh, content creators out there. So hats off to you, FPL General.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's everything I know about Mark. So
Yeah.
if you want to go ahead
Yeah.
and discuss what he suggested.
Yeah. And we followed, or at least in my case, I followed FPL General's athletic article on a free hit team that he had suggested. And so here we have the free hit team that he suggested, and for the benefit of the listeners, I'll be reading it out. So for goalkeepers picks, he had chosen Sanchez from Brighton and Dubravka from Newcastle. As defenders, he had suggested Lewis Dunk, Stuart Dallas, Reguilon from Tottenham, Lascelles and Clark from Newcastle, who clearly were suggested as bench fodders. In midfield, he suggested Trossard, Aubameyang, Lingard, Bale, and Rafinha. And the three strikers he suggested were Kane, Bamford, and Maja from Fulham. So, all
That
in
was
all,
some
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
all in all, I thought this was a great team. I think in his podcasts, he was talking about potentially having a Spurs triple up in the free hit team with Son instead of Reguilon. But in the end, this is the free hit team that he suggested.
Right.
And
And I guess you had the free hit chip available, right? So you
yeah,
made the most of it.
so Carling FIFA has had played all of his chips till then except the free hit chip, because I think for Carling FIFA's team, or rather my team, um, around game week 26 or 27, it was in a pretty bad shape, so I had to go for an early wild card. And so I already have played the second wild card, and the only chip left was the free hit chip, and game week 29 seemed to be an ideal time to play this. Although I understand other content creators have suggested game weeks in the future that might be more useful, but I did not have a really good team for game week 29, and so playing a free hit was the only
Yeah.
option I had. So
Yeah.
I'll reveal what my free hit team was, and I mean, Donna, you can just realize that it's a carbon copy, except maybe a couple positions.
Yeah, and look at those game week points, man.
Yeah. So
Oh
just
my
for
god.
the benefit of the listeners, the Carling FIFA's team scored 76 in game week 29, which I
Yeah.
believe was a game week rank of 55k. That I feel is an amazing rank, and that just, I think made a huge jump in my overall ranking. The starting 11 that I had was Sanchez from Brighton, the goalkeeper who got a clean sheet, and that was amazing. Then I had Aaron Creswell. I didn't go for Reguilon because I didn't trust Spurs so much, or rather Reguilon, because there's been a lot of rotation. But I went with Aaron Creswell because I felt Creswell is, I mean, anyway, he's, I think, the highest scoring defender in the game. He looks good going forward, so I just went for that deviation from FPL General suggestions. So I went for Aaron Creswell, and who got 0 points, unfortunately, because Arsenal versus West Ham turned out to be a more entertaining match than people predicted. We were all hoping for maybe like a stingy 0-0 draw, but it turned out to be a 3-all draw. So
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was the match of the season for me so far.
yeah, I heard that it's good. I just watched the highlights. So many chances on both ends, looked like a very open-ended game. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Creswell did not score any points there. But I had another Brighton defender, Lewis Dunk, who got 6 points for me as well, and then Stuart Dallas, who scored 2 points. Then in midfield, I had Aubameyang, who, despite Arsenal scoring 3 goals, only scored 2 points. unfortunately. Oba doesn't look on it at this moment of time. Not sure what's going on there. The whole debacle with the problem with Arteta, with him being benched for a match. I don't know how that's dented his confidence and if that's affected his play style. I mean, you probably know more than me, but
Well, he's got a new hairstyle now, so maybe that's a change.
yeah, maybe that bodes well for him in the upcoming game weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he just got 2 points for me in the free hit. He's not going to be in my team from game week 30 onwards, unless he just hits a hot form. But anyway, right. So then I had Rafinha, who typically always has an amazing output, especially in the eye test. He looks amazing, and he backed that with FPL points for a change this week. So he had 8 points. I had Jesse Lingard, who seems to be scoring outrageous goals left, right, and center. He had 12 points. And then I had the greatest player of all time. Especially if you
For
take a
this
look at,
game week.
yeah, for this game week, of course, that's the biggest caveat of that statement. Because I mean, even if you look at FPL Twitter last week, Trossard, there was so much talk about Trossard that you would think I mean, there was jokes about
Yeah,
people calling
yeah,
him Lionel Trossard because it
absolutely.
sounded like one of the greatest players of all time playing in this game week. But anyway, he delivered.
Yeah,
Lo and behold, he got 14 points, and yeah, I was really pleased with that. That pick,
yep,
which set me
absolutely.
apart from many other teams.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and then my strike force, Kane, who was my captain, somehow managed to score a goal, which means, and also got a bonus. So he ended up with 14 points for me as captain. Then I had Bamford, who scored 11. Again, Bamford is an amazing asset to have this season, and he's been consistently scoring points. So he scored again, and Maja, who came in my team instead of Bale, who had actually started, and Bale was benched, did not come on as a sub. So Maja came into the team, and actually Maja could have scored a goal, but I think he missed like a sitter, and so ended up unfortunately just getting 1 point from him. But overall, 76 points is an amazing return. I mean, look at the
Yeah,
the average of that week; it's just 25. So
right.
that's it. I mean, I understand
That's
that's
still
a
good.
lot of teams are not playing the game, but I mean, I gained a lot of ranks in the league, in our mini leagues, in the overall ranks. So I'm pretty happy with this, with the free hit
Yeah,
team.
I mean,
So
I mean that was one of the best hauls for this season. Given the game week was a blank game week, so like, yeah, it was amazing for you.
yeah, I agree. And so once again, thanks to FPL General for his excellent free hit team. Um, and so now let's move to your team. You didn't play
Yeah,
the free hit chip.
that's because my team is out of all the chips.
Ah,
Unfortunately, I don't even have a wild card anymore. So
okay.
uh, yeah, so I listened to FPL General's podcast, and these like these were the four picks that he suggested. Uh, like you said, Trossard, Kane, Bale, and Lookman. He also suggested not to make too many changes. He suggested play conservatively, just make one change. It's not worth going for like -8 or -12 just for the sake of this game week. So I made one change in my team. I brought in Trossard
Mm-hmm.
for the injured Son.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of worked well for me. I got 14 points for Trossard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna read out my team for the listeners. I had Martinez, who got 1 point. Matt Target, who had a bad game, got zero. Strike or Strike, I don't know how to pronounce his name. From Leeds, he got 2 points. Byrne did not play the match, so I got zero for him. Ola Aina got 1 point. Rafinha, like you said, amazing asset to have, got 8 points. Uh, Trossard, 14 points, unbelievable return for the one transfer that I made.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Obviously helped me go above the average points for that game week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any more players for that game week, so Gundogan Fernandez did not play because the teams did not play that game week. Kane captain, that was one of the suggestions by FPL General. So again, a safe pick for captain. As I said,
Mm-hmm.
FPL General does not go for Trossard as captain. He will always go for Kane as captain, and that's why we follow him. And then last but not the least, Watkins. I don't know what I feel about Watkins. He the amount of points he could have had this season was just
Yeah.
insane,
Yeah.
and he just ends up with 2 pointers every other week. So I hope
Yeah.
he he gets into form and converts those opportunities in the box. But yeah, so that's my team. I got 42 points at the end of the game week. My overall rank was, fluctuated a little bit. I went down to 167k, but given the number of matches in the game week, I feel okay. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
really bad of a haul, but I could have done better, or if some of my players had done better, I would have gotten a different haul. But I'm fine with this. So yeah, I mean, those were some really great suggestions by FPL General, and I wanted to point out his FPL General's faith in Gareth Bale did not pay off, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because Gareth Bale was benched for that match and he did not play.
Yeah.
So I know how much hyped he was about Bale playing against Aston Villa, but unfortunately it did not work out. So just yeah, that's how FPL is.
Yeah. I mean, these things happen. I mean, Gareth Bale was in dream form in those couple of game weeks. I think in 2 game weeks he scored something like 35 points. I mean, so you would think the good old days of the 2012 or 2013 season are back, but unfortunately, Bale seems to be a shadow of the player he was. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's okay. These things
absolutely.
happen in FPL, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's true. And just to tell you guys about FPL General's game week, we're gonna discuss that more in detail. But he also did okay. I guess he got 36 points in that game
Mm-hmm.
week, which
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna discuss this more in detail
Yeah.
just after this. But just to sum up his game week, it wasn't that great. He got 36 points, but that was again due to some of his players not playing that game week. So I guess now we'll show you the data that we have created for analysis. Um, Carling is a data scientist by profession, and he has created an amazing Excel spreadsheet,
Mm-hmm.
which he's going to show you in a second, which we are going to update weekly,
Mm-hmm.
um, and follow, and to see and basically discuss on what everyone did that week. So over to you, Carling.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot. So let's go on to the team review for the content creators. So, for the benefit of our listeners, I will obviously spell out what we have in front of us. And if you would like to check out the spreadsheet, please go to our YouTube channel, FPL Sheeple, and check out the podcast so that you can, navigate or look at the video of what we are showing right now. So what I have in front of me is an FPL is a spreadsheet of 20 content creators. As I said, who we have been following sort of regularly this season. Been listening to podcasts from many of them. Not every week, but I try to catch many of them as much as possible because there's, again, as I said, a lot of content out there. What I have here are their game week points for game week 29. I have their total points and their overall rank, obviously. I have colored the game week points, total points, and overall rank uh, by by the numbers in each column. So for example, if a content creator had the highest points in the game week, that's colored by green. content creators that had average game week points are colored by yellow, and the ones that had lowest game weeks are colored by red. Similarly, the color scheme follows in the total points and the overall rank column. I have
Yeah.
another column where if a content creator has played a chip in that game week, it's indicated. So we have a couple of content creators who played the free hit chip. And others did not play any chip. Then we have a column for the game week captain for all of these content creators for the week. And then I what I feel is the most interesting part of the spreadsheet. So what we have here is a set of players that all of these content creators have picked, or the players that started for them in the game week, and this includes just the players in the starting 11, including the auto subs. And we are ignoring the bench, obviously, because unless they play the bench boost, those players don't matter. But what we've done is we've taken all the players from all the 20 content creators and arranged them in order of how frequently they were picked. So for example, Harry Kane was picked by 19 out of the 20 content creators, so he's the number one player in our spreadsheet, followed by Rafinha, who was again picked by 19 out of 20, followed by Stuart Dallas, who was picked by 17 out of 20, and so on and so forth. So as you go towards the right of the spreadsheet, you will see picks or players that only a few content creators picked. And towards the very right of the spreadsheet, you will have the picks such as Bertrand Traore or Ola Aina, who were picked only by one content creator. So this sort of spreadsheet is what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, is sort of an aggregated resource for people who can they can just take a look at. And we link this spreadsheet in the description of the YouTube video, so you can download it and browse around for yourself, and you can take a look at what sort of the template team is for all these
Yeah.
content creators, and maybe
Yeah.
that helps you decide on picking certain players, have a good consensus about what the general picks should be like. And you can also go a bit maverick and scroll to the right to look at some interesting picks that some of these content creators have made.
Yeah, and
And
I mean, if you haven't used your wildcard, and if you are intending to do it in the next couple of weeks, which is, I guess, the right time to use it,
Mhm,
this spreadsheet is going to change, and probably some of them might wildcard.
mhm.
So there might be a new template team which can help us, uh, especially with FPL teams with wildcards. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be interesting for the upcoming game weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly, that's a really good point. And so, I mean, especially from all the rumors of out there on FPL Twitter, or from these podcasts, these game week or content creators are looking to wildcard in game week 30 and game week 31. So
Yeah.
so in our next few episodes, you will probably see a very different set of players that you can use for your own teams.
And
All
as you
right.
can see, poor FPL General is at the bottom of this list,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But it is what it is. Maybe he's gonna he has some time off over the last 2 weeks, so I'm sure he's gonna be back with a bang. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and I
so
guess, yeah, I guess what you can tell is that why FPL General may have had a bad game week is
yeah,
is
bad
something
game
you
week.
can also find in this spreadsheet. So, for example, you can see that FPL General did not have
He missed
Patrick
out on Bamford.
Bamford. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Bamford scored 11 points last week. So that's clearly, that's 11 points that General could have had that may have pushed him into like an average score. And if we
yeah,
scroll to the right, we can also take a look at a few other players that he was missing. He didn't have Louis Dunk or Veltman, both the Brighton defenders. That's again 16 points right there. He didn't
and
have
he didn't have Trossard of all
yeah,
players.
he didn't have Lionel Trossard. He didn't have Jesse Lingard. So all the players that didn't scored big, he didn't have. And if you take a look at the spreadsheet, I mean, uh, Lingard, Weltman, Bamford, Trossard, all these players seem to be in the top 12 or 13 players that amongst all these content creators. So it's not as if it was a one-off or it was a pick that only a few content creators made. Many of the content creators had these big hitters as they were in Gameweek 29 in their teams, and so FPL General unfortunately went a little too differential compared to the other content creators, and then missed out on some major points.
Yeah, I mean the suggestions that he made to get like the Brighton assets. It's insane that he does not have them himself. So I mean,
Yeah.
he looks out for us. So, he's the
Yeah.
hero that we deserve, but not
Yeah.
not the hero that we need.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I guess he saved up his free hit chip, I'm guessing, and
yeah,
he maybe uses it for some other game week, and then we realize why he's so great.
yeah,
Um, Anyway,
absolutely.
so right at the top of this table is a tie actually this week. It's between Big Man Bucker and Zofar, both from the FPL Wire podcast, funnily enough, and both on a free hit chip. I've listened to the FPL Wire podcast from that game week, and Zofar especially was already intending to free hit in that game week, and Big Man Bucker was sort of on the fence, but they both ended up using the free hit chip. And the most amazing fact was they ended up having the exact same team, including the subs. That's just unbelievable. And
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I heard their podcast, and there was some banter about
yeah,
how their team was exactly the same. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, there was a lot of banter that went back and forth. Apparently, both the teams were picked independently, but we leave that up to them to discuss. And it's just good,
We are just
for us.
gaslighting,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we just get to see what the teams were, and so they ended up scoring 83 points, which I feel is an insane score. I mean, they had all the right players. They had I would say they had a team that was similar to FPL General's suggested free hit team, but both of them did not have Lionel Trossard. And that's just unbelievable that without them having the top scorer of last game week, they still managed to top the charts in terms of the
Yeah,
points
because
that they had.
I guess they had Weltman
Yeah, I mean they had Weltman, Lingard, they
and
had
Lingard and
I
Bamford.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So they seem to have the other set of players apart from Trossard who seem to have gotten the highest points, and we have the
Mhm.
player points for each player in that game week at the bottom of the spreadsheet as well, also colored according to the highest and lowest scores. So you can also tell which players stand out. And if we move to the right, I'm just trying to see if they had any interesting picks. So yeah, so both of them didn't have any major differentials. I think they had Sanchez as the keeper with for the 6 points. Both of them had Aubameyang who just scored 2 points, but nothing out of the ordinary. Everything, all the other players were part of the pool that I would say form the template or whatever, and they still managed to outscore everyone.
Yep.
A big shout out to FF Scout AZ, who captained Lionel Trossard, and obviously he was the third highest scorer this week. He had 77 points. And so a shout out to
Nice.
him. He's a massive Brighton fan, by the way. So I mean, imagine the amount of happiness he had in the last game week with Brighton playing so well, Trossard being
Yeah.
his captain, giving him those 28 points. He was over the moon. So
Oh,
yeah, a big shout out to
congratulations.
him.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is a spreadsheet. Have a look at it. Play around with it. You can take a look at. Uh, I mean, it's easy to see that. most content creators had Kane as their captain. 17 out
Yeah,
of the 20 content
just like
creators.
us.
Yeah, I mean, so it does sound like the Twitter chat this week uh, seemed to be a little bit true, but I feel Kane was a reasonable captain pick, so I don't think,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
sort of a balance. I don't know. AZ went for Trossard, and that paid off. He was the only one who captained him, so kudos to him. That was a great shout. There were a couple other captains here as well in the spreadsheet. We have Dunk, who was captained by Lee from the FPL family. And Dunk scored 6 points, so that's still 12 points, and that's almost the number of points that Kane got as captain. So that's also a fair result. And Late Riser, who is the master of picking differential picks all throughout his career. I think he's not having a great season this time around. So I mean, following his Twitter, he seems to have decided to just have fun with the rest of the season, and so he's making really some interesting choices. I think he had Havertz captain for game week 28 and or game week 27, one of them, and he has Ademola Lookman captain in game week 29. And I think Lookman again was one of the Fulham players who was close to scoring, and so then that would have looked really good for him. He ended up having 5 points, so that's also not a bad captain pick, I would say. It's not a blank certainly, so that's good. I mean, all of them seem to be good in picking captains, at least for game week 29.
yeah, yeah. And just based off of this spreadsheet, like we told you guys before, we are going to pick the creator who's top of this list.
Yeah.
So, Kaling, can you just tell more about Big Man Bakar
Yeah,
or
so
Bakar?
so Big Man Bakar, I mean, so there was a tie, but looks like alphabetically Big Man Bakar seems to be at the top of our spreadsheet. So he's our content creator of the week.
Nice.
So the creator of the week for game week 30 is Big Man Bakar. You can follow him on Twitter at Big Man Bakar. He's also one of the co-hosts of the FPL Wire podcast, which I also urge people to check out. It's a really great podcast with three co-hosts who've done amazingly well in consistently over many seasons of FPL. So do check it out. Big Man Bakar, just a little bit about his FPL history, has finished world rank 4 into 2014-2015 in the Mourinho
Oh
Chelsea
man,
season. I mean, I think his
are there any prices for fourth spot?
Champions League. No, 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 that's not true. that yeah, fourth spot. Yeah, you get a special Arsenal Cup, if I may dive into some banter. No, anyway,
Yeah,
no, he came fourth. I think on his Twitter he has a picture where he was actually second in the world at some point in that season, but I think
right.
ended up
Yeah,
coming up
that's
fourth.
his. I guess his cover photo on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So I
Yeah.
mean, so close, and it must be such a surreal feeling. I mean, I just don't know, or I cannot imagine what that feeling would be like.
Yeah, I
um
mean, it's insane.
yeah, anyway, so he's also finished top 5k in another season. I think actually he was 1100 in that season, so that's not just top 5k, it's probably top 2k. And he's finished top 100k 5 times in the past 10 years. So he's really a great FPL player. And interestingly enough, he relies a lot on stats. So FPL or Big Man Bakar is famous for his weekly reviews that he does, which are these really elaborate threads on Twitter, which do some comparative analysis of players at either between players over the same period of time in the season, or within, or comparisons within a single player for game weeks, let's say 20 to 25 versus 25 to 30, and so on and so forth. And with those comparisons, and I would say a very sort of robust understanding of statistics. He's able to say or pick out players that are on the up versus players that are going to uh, not perform as well as we expect. So these stat based decisions, he presents them every week and makes decisions based on stats on his own. He's looking at xg numbers, expected goals numbers, expected assists, expected goals involvements, etc. So he's really going the whole 9 yards with his decisions based on stats.
Nice.
And he, as I said, he posts this weekly review suggestions. This week, in his review, he's advocated a huge or a big Leeds win. Even in the FPL Wire podcast, he was talking about Leeds potentially going to have a huge victory against Sheffield United, and he's based it off of the fact that Sheffield United seem to have been conceding a lot of chances, especially in the last 4 game weeks or so, and ever since they've sacked their manager Chris Wilder, the defense has just seemingly given up. So he's advocating for a huge Leeds win. Obviously, the arguments are that Leeds at home do not score as much as they do away, but uh, Big Man Bucker showed stats that I think Leeds have a similar profile in terms of attack in their home versus away. Um, uh, in his weekly review. And another thing that he has said is that Spurs are probably not going to blow Newcastle away. And that's an
Is he
interesting
an
call.
Arsenal fan?
No, I'm not really sure, but yeah, that's a very
No,
interesting
I
call.
don't think he's an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't like Arsenal, in fact.
Okay. No, but it's an interesting choice, interesting view, because he says that Newcastle are not going to concede as many chances as people believe they
Yeah,
are, and
I
it's,
think he said it's going to be I think 2-1 to Tottenham, or like
yeah,
something like that, where Newcastle might give them a tough fight because they're like just above relegation now.
yeah, and so then he believes that the likes of Kane and Son are probably going to be involved in one of the goals and probably not score a huge haul. So
Not yeah,
yeah,
and
so
also
that,
Newcastle have some players returning from injury or
yeah,
just
yeah, that's
returning
true.
back to the squad, so
Mhm.
it's going to be a tough match for Spurs, according to Bakker.
Yeah, that's true. And so, just a little bit about his own FPL team. So, Big Man Bakar has a City triple up. He has Cancelo, Diaz, and Gundogan. And his main concerns for his own team were benching concerns about with the City assets. He was debating whether he should bench the likes of Gundogan and Diaz. I think he's going to start Cancelo, and so he was wondering if he should bench Gundogan or Diaz versus Reguilon, and so I think that's something that he has not decided yet, and he will probably only reveal close to the deadline or after the deadline. But that's where his team's is at, and I don't think he's planning to make any change this week because his team looks good for game week 30. So let's go into what Bakar has suggested as picks this week based on his review or based on his comments in the FPL Wire podcast. So I have the picks for from Big Ben Bakar here on screen. So he suggested Rafinha as a good captain shout. He suggested
Yeah,
Antonio from West Ham. He suggests that people should start shifting to a triple Chelsea defense. He says that Mendy should be the go-to goalkeeper with Rudiger a safe pick, and Alonso could be a
over
great
Aspilicueta.
shout, yeah, over Aspilicueta, because Alonso has this great history, and whenever he plays, Alonso gets into the box, looks like scoring, so he's a better pick than Aspi.
Yeah,
He's also compared Jota to Salah in his weekly review and showed that Jota has similar stats as Salah. So for half the price, you're getting an equal output. So he's advocated
yeah,
Jota.
and then on top of it, he's done really well in the international break, like for
Yeah,
Portugal.
hmm,
So
that's right.
he's definitely in form for
Yeah.
country and clubs. So it's definitely worth a pick.
Yeah, and he's picked Connor Cody because Wolves have this amazing stretch of games now from next week onwards. They have West Ham this week, which could be a tough fixture, but from next week they have great fixtures for like 5 or 6 game weeks. So he's picked one of the defenders because Wolves are not so great in attack. So he's suggested Connor Cody as the pick of the defenders, and he's finally suggested Calvert Lewin for this week against Crystal Palace as having a potential good game. So these are all the
Yeah.
picks, and now Donna, if you would like to reveal your team that you've picked this week based on Bakker's suggestions.
Sure, absolutely. So I made two changes in my team. Um, I had Harvey Barnes, who's injured, and I needed to get rid of him. Um, and I also had Lewis Dunk in my team.
Hmm.
So I took them out, and I got um, Alonso, and then I got in Diogo Jota. So I
Oh,
made two changes based on Bucker's picks.
yeah.
I did not go for Rafinha captain. I went
Hmm.
for Kane.
Hmm.
I mean, even though Bucker feels it's not going to be a big haul for Tottenham, I kind of feel they'll be in form. They're not doing that bad, but I think this match will be one of the turning points for them for the season. That they'll
Mm.
again start picking up, and then they- they'll 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 catch up on points. Even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I have to say that yeah, that Kane is like one of the assets that you have to have in the team. So that's why I made Kane captain. But I have faith in what Bucker said about Alonso and Diego Jota. So those were the two changes that I made for this game week. They're finalized. They're done. This team is not going to change. Also, I went for a little bit of differential. Um, uh, I kept the faith in the theme of our podcast. Our goat this week, Trossard over
Yeah.
Gundogan.
That's
Um,
a really interesting pick.
I
You, yeah.
I don't know if he'll. I think he'll be a victim of Pep Roulette this week
Uh-huh.
because there's Champions League coming up.
Yeah.
They have this match against Dortmund, and then he had he played in the international break for Germany. So my guess is he will he will start, but he will be taken off in like 50th or 60th minute, or either he will be completely rested.
Yeah.
I mean, if he scores. I mean, I can't do much, but I just wanted to stick to Trossard, even though they are away to United. I just wanted to give him another chance and see what they do, given that Brighton are in good form.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I kept, and I'm gonna read my team quickly,
Yeah.
just so that everyone knows. I
Mm-hmm.
have Martinez in goal. In defense, I have Target, Alonso, Diaz. Midfield, I have Jota, Rafinha, Trossard, and Fernandez, who's my vice captain. And forwards, I have Richarlison, Kane, and Watkins. Richarlison is again, I guess, is going to be a differential this week
Yeah.
because I don't think he's been owned by a lot of players,
Mm-hmm.
and he generally does well. Um, uh, in these matches. So that's pretty much my team, and
Yeah.
my subs are Gundogan, Aina, and Strike. I don't think it will come to that point that they will be um, substituted in because I
Yeah.
guess everyone in my team will be playing. So hopefully, based on Bucker's suggestion, I will have a good game week based on those two changes that I made.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, Gundogan bench is also something that Bakar himself is doing. So it's sort of
Yeah,
for this team it makes sense to do as well because we believe in Bakar, and yeah, Richarlison is a good shout, and I think that's the closest you can have to Bakar's suggestion of having Calvert Lewin against Crystal Palace. You can have Richarlison, so that's also a nice pick there. Yeah, I mean the team looks good. Picking Jota already sounds like a great plan because it's sort of you're getting ahead of the curve, and I think a lot of people are going to jump on the Jota train
Yeah, no,
soon.
and it's Arsenal, Arsenal versus Liverpool,
Yeah,
and even though I'm an Arsenal fan, there's the match against Liverpool is always a high scoring one in
yeah.
general.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to go for the man in form.
Yeah. So the team looks great. And let's see how it pans out for you.
And what have you done, my friend?
Yeah. So for me, I have put
Oh,
faith in
look
Bakar.
who's there.
Yeah, I've really put faith in Bakar, and I've gone for the Rafinha captain, even though I have Kane. I think in his case, he doesn't have Harry Kane. He's not owned him in the past few weeks, and that's an amazing brave call. I think Bakar has also topped last game week in our spreadsheet. So we had
Right.
looked at the spreadsheet last week as well, and I think Bakar was again topping. So clearly, not owning Kane seems to be a good idea. Uh, and I guess that's why he's looking for alternative captain options. But his point about Rafinha or Leeds doing very well against Sheffield is something I sort of liked and I agreed with, and so I went for his top suggestion of Rafinha captain, and Kane is my vice captain. And so just to go through my starting 11, I have Martinez in goal. I have Cancelo, Alonso, and Shaw as my defenders. I have Salah, Rafinha as my captain. Fernandez and Mount. Mount, as you can see, is has been a legacy suggestion from one of my earlier picks from some other content creators. And then I have my strikers in Bamford, Watkins, and Kane. Kane, who's my vice captain. And
Yeah.
on the bench, I
Yeah.
have Gundogan, me, and Holding, who I don't really expect to
You
to.
should change it to holding and then me, so that it sounds Gundogan holding me.
Oh, that's a really great idea. I'm actually going to do that before the deadline. That's a nice idea. Yeah. So again, quite a different team from you. In
Yeah, I mean,
many
I
places.
think Mount and Bamford, I guess, are like two really good players to have,
Yeah.
and I mean, my team doesn't have Bamford. I have
Yeah.
Richarlison, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if Leeds does well in this match, yeah, and if Rafinha and Bamford do well, you are in for a treat this week then.
Yeah. I
And
hope so. I hope so.
and I also see Shaw in the team. I mean,
Yeah.
in I feel he's going to be recommended by the pundits soon because
Yeah.
uh, United might have like a good run in form. So Shaw, I guess, is another must-have in your team. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess your team looks really well, and Rafinha captain, in my opinion, is a little bit of a gamble, but that's what Bakar said, and that's what
Yeah.
you feel is right.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
what we are going to
we.
do on this
Yeah.
podcast. We're going to follow. We're going to
Yeah.
listen to what these pundits say, and then whatever we feel right is what we're going to do. So
Yeah.
Carling has Rafinha captain, Kane vice captain. I have Kane captain. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Let's
let's
see.
see how it goes for both of us.
Yeah.
Um, so do you want to, before we end, do you want to just quickly go over the matches? I mean, we don't have a slide for the matches, but we'll just read them out and just discuss what the score line would be for
Oh
those
yeah,
matches.
that sounds great. Let me
So
just.
the
Yeah.
first match this weekend is Chelsea versus West Brom. I feel like this is going to be a 3-0 for Chelsea.
Um, I feel the Thomas Tuchel team does really well defensively, but I don't think they're going to
Yeah,
end up scoring 3 goals. I feel it's more like a 1-0 or a 2-0, but it's still a clean sheet game for
clean
sure.
sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then next we have Leeds versus Sheffield United. I
Yeah.
guess it's a 1-0 for Sheffield then.
No, for the sake of my Rafinha captain, it's going to be 3-0 leads, two Rafinha goals, one assist, one Bamford goal. I mean, it's going to be like a
Oh
mega
man,
haul.
wishful thinking.
Like every week for the past 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a big
Yeah.
one of crucial matches, Leicester versus Man City.
Mhm.
Um, I, I read recently that James Madison is back and up for selection. So that makes the Leicester team interesting. They're
Mhm.
not pushovers in any way.
Yeah.
I feel Man City is going to nick this off, maybe 2-1 or like 1-0.
Yeah,
What do you feel?
yeah. I think the same. I think I agree with you. It's going to be a close match, and I think City will just nick it. I think City are in that mode where they just want to, wrap up the
Finish
league
off?
in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
in the next 2-3 matches. So they're just going to do what it takes to win these 3 or 4 matches, and then they'll just switch off. So yeah, I think they'll go and win this in a close margin, 1-0 for me as well to City.
right. Right. And now for the big one, we have Arsenal versus Liverpool. I feel this is going to be, and I hope that this is going to be a high scoring match.
Yeah.
I feel I want Arsenal to win this. I want Arsenal to win this 3-2 or
Wow.
or like 3-1.
Odds
Given that
on.
the form that Arsenal is in, we came back from 3-0. I mean, have you ever seen a match where Arsenal comes back, except for the Reading one, of course, where Arsenal has come back from 3 goals down? I mean, it.
Oh,
I mean, Arteta has definitely did something to that team in
yeah.
that locker room at halftime. So I feel Arsenal will win this 3-2 or 3-1. But Jota will score the one goal in the 3-1 also.
Nice. Odds on another 4-4.
Oh man, that was insane. I mean, yeah, we should hope for a high scoring match anyways. So,
Yeah.
moving on to Sunday, there are 4 matches on Sunday. Southampton, Burnley. I mean, I don't,
Don't care.
I don't have
Yeah,
any
we
hopes
don't
of
have
this match. I'm gonna
any players from these teams. So, oh
that too,
yeah,
and I guess it's going to be a boring match. I guess 0-0 for me.
yeah, I agree. 0-0. I think 1-1 because nobody nobody scores too many points or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean, Burnley
1-1.
has been different this season. Like they're
Yeah,
scoring
yeah,
this
exactly.
season.
So
So,
yeah, it could be a score draw.
next match is Newcastle versus Spurs, which I feel Spurs are going to win 3-0 or
Wow.
yeah, 3-0. 3-0 is what I'm predicting.
Yeah, Hurricane hat trick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel, no, I agree
Or at
with,
least a hat trick of assists would even do. I mean, anything would do for me.
no, I think I agree with Bucker here. I think it'll be a 2-1 win for Spurs with Kane scoring one of the goals, as he said.
Right.
So,
Right. The next one is Aston Villa versus Fulham. We both have Martinez as the keeper,
yeah,
so I'm gonna go with 1-0 Aston Villa.
yeah.
I mean, Fulham not is no longer that team which was a pushover. They are fighting
Hmm.
for getting out of the relegation spot, and they're in form. So I guess they're going to give a tough fight to Aston Villa, but it's going to be a close one. So I'm guessing 1-0 because Aston Villa don't score too many goals, but they usually nick these games 1-0 at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. But I feel Fulham will score one goal, and Martinez will make like 6 or 7 saves and will get the bonus point. So he'll end up having 6 points, even though he concedes a goal, as he has done all
Yeah.
season. So but there are, Jack Grealish has trained, and if he features in the match, I
Well,
think Villa might be better. I think they'll
yeah.
edge
I
it
mean,
like
I
2-1
feel
or something.
Yeah, I mean, I feel this is like one of the last matches for Martinez because Villa's fixtures are turning and we may
Yeah,
not no longer have him in our team. So,
yeah.
Martinez, we are hoping that you do well in this match. Next is United versus Brighton.
Tough
Um,
match, tough match.
I think it's going to be tough for
Mm-hmm.
United because Brighton is in good form and
Yeah.
earlier what happened earlier this season that
Yeah.
was just insane. I mean,
I can't believe it.
brighton Brighton from drawing the match to losing it with after the final whistle was blown was crazy, but I guess I'm going for 2-all draw.
Yeah, sounds about right. I think I'll still, I mean, because I have to say a 2-1 victory to United, and
Yeah.
Brighton will give us a tough match. I think they'll hit the post a couple of times and we'll win 2-1, just like at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have two matches on Monday. The first one is Everton versus Crystal Palace. I think this will be a convincing win for Everton. I'm going for 2-0 to them.
Yeah,
At home, with the team that they have, I guess they're gonna win this one comfortably. But
yeah.
I might be wrong. So
No, I agree. I am going to go for a 2-0 as well. I think, yeah, I can't tell who the scorers will be. I can't predict that, but I think 2-0 is a fair result.
yeah, yeah. And the last match for this game week is Wolves versus West Ham.
Hmm.
This is an interesting match because Wolves is like one of those teams who doesn't give up, and West Ham has been a revelation this season. Like
Yeah.
they're fifth in the table, if I'm not
Hmm.
wrong, and they're doing really well.
Yeah.
And some of the players are just playing out of the world this season. So given that it's going to be a tough match for both teams, I don't know. I feel like West Ham is going to win this 1-0. Uh,
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a 2-0 West Ham win. I think
Yeah,
it's going to be a tough match. I think West Ham will take time to break down Wolves, but
yeah,
once they score the first goal, I think they'll be much better. They'll feel more confident, and I think they'll end up scoring 2 goals in the end. So 2-0 to West Ham.
yeah, yeah. So that's basically all the matches and our predictions of what
Yeah.
might be the score lines. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this week, I guess.
Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, thank you all for listening. And if you like the podcast, just leave a like, comment, and leave a review on the podcast platforms, and give us
Subscribe on
feedback.
YouTube as
Yeah,
well.
subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Spread the word. And we'll see you in game week 30 with another review of all the content creators and another a new content creator of the week, and looking forward to game week 31. So thanks for listening everyone, and have a nice game week.
Good luck to all.
Yeah.